Good morning, everybody, and we'd like to welcome you this morning to a regular meeting of the Kaufman County Commissioners Court. It's Monday, February the 9th, and we're pleased to have you in attendance that are here today. Thank you for coming. We will begin with our invocation here just in a moment, and then we'll have pledge of allegiances to both of our flags, and then if you have a chance and you've not done so, please sign in if you'd like to address the court here at the beginning of the the meeting. So if you would, join me now in standing, and we'll have a prayer. Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for today. We thank you for the beautiful weather that you've provided us. Lord, we thank you for the rain that you've sent in recent days. Lord, thank you for all of the great folks that we have work for our county. Thank you for this group of commissioners that study and look at the business of the county and try to make the best informed decision they can make. Lord, none of us are perfect, and we know that we are only saved by your amazing grace. We pray now that as we go through the remainder of this meeting, that you'll cause us all to be good listeners and to have a clear understanding of the matters that will be discussed today. These things we ask in thy Son's holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. I think we have some people that are signing up to speak to the court. And I think while they're in the process of doing that, gentlemen, we'll go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. And that includes item number A, acceptance of meeting minutes for January the 12th, 2015 and January the 26th, 2015. Item B is to discuss and consider approving an interlocal agreement with the City of Kent and the City of Rosser for road maintenance. C is to discuss and consider approving deputation of Mitchell L. Hempel, Augusto F. Espinoza, Kevin Shaw, Samuel Carter, Cody Blythe, and Aaron M. Cheney for the Kaufman County Sheriff's Department. D is to consider and discuss approving allocations of the family protection fee to Lone Star Casa, Kaufman County Children's Shelter, Emergency Shelter, the Genesis Center, and Kaufman County Children's Advocacy Center in equal shares. E is to discuss and consider reviewing our membership with the County Judges and Commissioners Association of Texas and paying those dues. F is to consider and discuss accepting resignation of Jeffrey Davis and appointing Matthew England to Emergency Services District Number 1 for a 2-year term. And G is to discuss and consider appointing Bart Matthews to Emergency Services District Number 1 for a 2-year term, replacing Charlie Fox, who has resigned. Anybody have any comments or questions about any of that?
Item F and G are to, both of those are to fulfill unexpired 2-year terms.
Okay. Yeah, there were some vacancies that we had to fill. Any other comments or clarification, questions? Not, I'd entertain a motion to accept as read.
Make the motion.
We have a motion from Commissioner Brazalik. Do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. All right, I think we do have the sign-in sheets now. Thank you for allowing us to conduct that little bit of business. First is Ronnie Davis, who is here to discuss the, from Kaufman, by the way, is here to discuss the radio proposal of the funding of the radio contract. Ronnie, do you want to wait till that item comes up, or do you want to come on now?
It doesn't matter where you.
You're welcome to come on now if you'd like to do that. If you'd come to the microphone, and we appreciate hearing from you.
I appreciate y'all's time and effort with all this, and I know we already went through this and got everything basically approved. We just hope that you go ahead with the funding of this. This is very needed for the first responders, for the fire departments, and much needed equipment. And not only will this complex out here that we just found out, it will also help our department along with other county departments because of their insurance ratings will get lowered because of the communication center being in compliance with all the standards and everything, have more call takers and whatnot out there to do it, so we can get better insurance credit with the insurance service office with that lowered, because we're a class 4 city right now, and our outside protection agency, and we can possibly get lowered to a 2 with this. So this will not only commercial property owners, but also residential property owners would see substantial insurance savings with that, with those lower insurance ratings. So that's another factor why we want to do it. Not just that, but because of the safety of the first responders, so that we have good communications with all of them, which right now is kind of hit and miss. So thank y'all for your time.
Okay, thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you.
And I would remind everybody, we do have a 3-minute limit on the remarks that are made here. And we do ask that the remarks be respectful and no personal attacks. I will make sure that that does not occur, but we do look forward to hearing your comments. Jimmy Weaver is here, and I believe, Mr. Weaver, you want to talk about item 6, or do you want to wait till item 6, or do you wish to come on now?
The only thing I wanted to bring everybody's attention, the public and the Commissioners Court. I was in a meeting with Commissioner Rosalic, Shane, and Phillips 3 weeks ago. And one thing that in that meeting is that some of the 911 money that we've been paying to the state, Senator Hall is trying to get that money back so that hopefully we don't have to buy bonds and increase taxes to pay for this expenditure. As far as the rest of it, I'm neutral on all the other stuff. But just want to make sure everybody knew in the public that Senator Hall is trying to get some of that money back with a resolution. And next week I'll be down there asking the same question again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Judy Josie, who also wishes to address item number 6. Do you want to do that now?
May I address it when the item comes up?
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. Don Lindsay is here from Carroll to address item number 6. Good morning.
Good morning. Don Lindsay with the Carroll Volunteer Fire Department. Thank you all for your time. Just one more time, reiterate that we really need this. It's a big safety thing for us. We've got parts of our territory we cover. We cannot talk to the county unless we go back to our engine. And so if we have somebody injured on the fire ground without the proper radio system, we're endangering the fireman's lives up in our part. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Next is Ricky Myrick, who is here to talk about the radio.
Thank y'all for allowing us to come today. This radio system, it's a life safety factor. We really need this. The radio systems we have now, it just doesn't work like it needs to, and it's very important that we get this passed for life safety. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here this morning. Larry Brzalik, for item number 6. Larry, do you want to come now, or do you want to wait till?
I'd rather wait, please.
Okay. Rick Jackson, item number 6.
I would like to wait also.
Okay. John Cook on item number 6.
As the rest of them.
Okay.
Wait, thank you.
Roseanne Mara here concerning bid reclaim.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Commissioners and Judge. I'm here again, same issue. We're asking that bed reclaim be taken into the county maintenance system for the agreement we had with Mr. Rowden. We talked, Mr. Beatty and I spoke briefly with Commissioner Rosalic at the last commission, before the last commission meeting started. And he said he would set up a meeting with us and put it on the agenda, but of course we haven't heard from him. And, this is a road that's traveled by the public to our individual driveways. we've spent thousands of dollars trying to maintain it. Mr. Gonzalez been paid thousands of dollars before he was commissioner. And we continue to spend money on it, and we just really would like for him to work with us in getting this road into the county. We're willing to pay our part, like we agreed with Mr. Rowden. And we're only asking for a gravel. The road has no bridges, no culverts. It's just like a gravel road, just like the one that goes directly to his sand pit. It's a gravel road that's graded, you know, nice and smooth to get to the gravel pit, or rock pit, whatever it is down there on Red Fox Road. And if any of you get an opportunity to drive down Red Fox Road, you could maybe understand kind of where we're coming from. But we really need Mr. Gonzalez to work with us, and we'd like the court to somehow encourage him to put it on the agenda, and so we can get something done about this issue. Because we're taxpayers, and we don't want anything for free. We want to do our part. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Morrow.
Judge, I'm not going to comment on that except to say the DA's office has looked into some issues regarding this. We anticipate we'll be sending a letter out to Commissioner Gonzalez, kind of follow up to this issue. We'll send a copy to the court as well.
Okay, thank you, John.
So,
Next is Ray Myers, and I believe it's on county involvement or city involvement?
Item 6.
Item 6, okay.
Thank you, Judge, and good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. Just want to let you know that we're here in support of Kaufman County Safety and Security 2, and hopefully that we can work on that equipment and get that established. But we are concerned, and I hope the Commissioners bring up the points of the cities, the mutual agreements with the cities that we discussed back in previous county commissioner meetings. I'd just like to make sure that that item comes up where we can hear what the city's involvements are going to be and how many are involved. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. And next is Taylor Larson. Taylor, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You got a spokesperson with you, looks like.
Well, she can do much talking. But I'm Taylor, and this is my daughter, Hunter. We have an uncle and child.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
And we live off of Frederick Lane, and it's really hard for us to get up and down the driveway or the road, and like every time we go down it, it's always bottoming out my car, and every time it rains, I always have to call in because my car can't make it down the road. So, just, if I ever have an emergency with my kids, it's really hard. Yeah.
Thank you, Taylor. All right, that's all that I have signed up to speak, so we will go ahead and move right into item number 3, which is Brian Beavers, who's going to present the Sheriff's Department's racial profiling report for the calendar year 2014.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Apologize for the sheriff, he's out today. But what we're doing is we're extending our racial profiling for Senate Bill 1074. If you look at the very first tab 1, it's a summary, a rough summary of exactly everything that we do. We do tier 2 reporting. There's tier 1 and tier 2. We do tier 2 reporting. So this is everything that we collect in the data, which there's a lot of data here and stuff you can look over. But we did a little over 3,586 traffic stops, and we never got a complaint. And then you look through the data, we break it down, we compare the contacts of citizens with the data of our census. That way we can get apples to apples instead of the traveling public at every stop also. So you've got a lot of information there, and like I say, we have no complaints, and everything has been submitted to T-code as required underneath the law.
Commissioners, you don't have any questions for Chief Deputy?
It's like an excellent report,
I appreciate it.
very comprehensive. Yeah. The only problem I see is look like we're picking on Caucasians. 82%.
Great.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have a motion to accept the racial profiling report? Commissioner Shane makes that motion. That's the motion. We have a second. Commissioner Gonzalez seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Item number 4 is to discuss and consider combining a monthly travel allowance to be included in the second regular check that goes out each month. This is for the people in the county that receive a travel allowance, and it's Laura employed here. I know she wanted to be, yeah, see if if not, we will skip over this and come back. Okay, good. It's all right. We're on item number 4 concerning combining the monthly travel allowance. I think you've discussed this to some extent, but it is kind of an administrative issue that probably will work better for us.
Yes, currently, right now, we have the travel checks are included in a separate check each month for employees that get a travel allowance. So when payroll is processed, there's once a month when we do the travel, there's 2 different payrolls that have to be processed. We've got to write 2 different checks. Some people have direct deposit, 2 different pay stubs. On our side, on the HR maintenance side, we have to enter 2 different employees because you've got the normal employees and then you've got their travel. So it's kind of duplicating everything. And so I checked with our financial software, and she said that we are the only county that does it this way, the 2 different ways. So it's really easy to switch it over and put it all in one check. And it would cut the time of putting everything double and all that. So it's just a matter of, do we want to go that route or not?
Did I read something in your memo that you would withhold taxes from the travel part?
Yes, so the way now that travel is taxed now, it's taxed monthly. So say you get like your travel check is $300 a month. That's so low that it's not high enough for taxes to come out. So say your regular paycheck's $2,000, that last check of the month, it's now going to be $2,300, and so taxes are going to be a little bit different. It still balances out. Personally, the way it'll balance out through the year, and then, non-effective taxes at the end of the year, but it's kind of a preference of how we want to do it. So we've discussed running like a test payroll to kind of let everybody know where their taxes are going to be, and then they can adjust their withholdings according to their own personal preference.
Yeah, the only thing that I can say would make a difference if the person couldn't afford to travel and they needed that money, if they were in a small enough bracket, if you're sending somebody in the county that gets travel money, you know what I'm saying?
Is this
But
pertaining,
they would need all their money back, you know what I'm saying, pay the bill.
is this pertaining to our vehicle allowance?
Yes, this is only pertaining to the employees that receive a travel allowance monthly. This is not a reimbursement if they go on to a conference or something like that.
Okay.
That will still be handled.
That would be
differently.
separate.
Completely separate.
Yeah, because
That's something,
well, everybody receives a travel, it shouldn't make any difference, because at the end of the year, you're gonna receive it back and pay more than.
correct, and then how you file that, that's good.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't, somebody that's gonna need to
But
receive
that's
their money
completely
back.
separate, completely separate. That, they will still do that, issue their reimbursement to the auditor's office. The auditor office will
Okay.
issue them a check. That's completely separate. This is just the normal travel allowance that employees receive. There's no,
Good.
You just need to be aware that it's gonna change your check, because the withholding and the retirement and the medical and
Yeah.
social security is gonna be different because of that. It's in a different little tax bracket.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes any difference. The only thing, I shouldn't even talk to you on social security, but it's still gonna be the same thing.
Well, in a way, I agree with Ms. Floyd that it's a good way to do it, because the first year I was here, 2012, I got a separate W-2, and I filed that W-2 with my regular W-2, but the IRS didn't like it, so they charged me an extra $666 because of it.
yeah, and this would eliminate that. So employees would only get one check. They would only get one W-2 at the end of the year. It will have on their total on there. And then you're taking taxes out of it throughout the year. But now, if you look at your statement of your travel, there's no taxes taken out of it because it's such a low amount.
Right.
Pardon me, that there's not enough for them to take taxes out of it. So then when you file it, an additional $3,000 on your taxes, it kind of, you got to be taxed. So it's going to balance it out.
Should the agenda item be reworded to state combining monthly vehicle allowance instead of travel allowance?
We're not talking about vehicles, we're not talking about vehicle, is it?
Yeah, so she is talking about vehicle, not travel
I call it
reimbursement.
travel, sorry.
Both of them, right?
John, would that make more sense?
I think so. I mean, this is mostly going to make the elected officials and department heads.
Right.
That's all in it.
Yeah.
Then I would think so.
It's not for travel
Because this is
reimbursements
not
that
reimbursement.
employees
The car allowance.
turn in.
This
It's
car
for
allowance.
vehicle.
Okay, well, I thought it was,
No, just car.
that's why I'm asking, I think you're
Do we need to
reimbursed.
amend this?
Well, we'll probably have to repost it, if that's what John suggests.
No, I don't know that you need to repost it because it's fairly clear. It's the switch along the road. It's the same road. So if you make this part of the motion that you want to try to vehicle.
So you're all right with the wording that's currently listed
The people that are affected are not going to be affected.
So I just like to make a motion that we accept this with the exception of travel, instead of car instead of travel in the motion.
there. Car allowance. right?
Car allowance instead of travel allowance,
Okay.
in the motion.
The attorney checked, he said yes, okay, fine. So you put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have a second? Commissioner Shane seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, thank you very much,
Thank
Lauren.
you.
Is Tom Holland here this morning? Tom, do we need to go ahead and discuss item 5, or should we discuss item 6 first, or does it make any difference?
Let me see, Jim. Here's what it
I would, you can do either one of them. You do them together if you like.
Okay. Well, I think what I'd like to do is go ahead and do item 6 first, and then we'll come back and do item 5.
As long as you,
As long as we do both, yeah, as long as we proceed. So item 6 is to the consideration and action on an order authorizing the issuance and sale of Kaufman County, Texas public property finance contractual obligation, Series 2015, in the amount of approximately $3.67 million to fund acquisition of equipment for the Kaufman County 911 and EOC Center, and to pay cost of issuance, levying an annual ad valorem tax for payment of said obligations, and enacting other provisions relating to the subject. And George, I believe you're here, George Woodford. George, are you gonna look like George? You'd like to come forward, and I know we have some people that are signed up that would like to address this issue, but if you would, why don't you go ahead and identify yourself? You may have some handouts there that you'd like to give us, and then we'll hear your presentation, and then we'll have items for discussion.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Eric Ma with First Southwest Company. I wanted to pass out, there's a brief handout. Back on January 8th, the county solicited various banks, both locally in the region and throughout the state, for possible purchase of $3.67 million in public property finance contractual obligations. On January 30th, the county received 5 bids from various banks throughout the state. And in the handout, there's
You need.
we can keep that, there's some extra. On the bottom of the handout, we have a list of the bidders who responded. American National Bank, Bank of Texas, Bank of America, Regions Bank, and First State Bank. The low bid, as we would evaluate in terms of true interest costs, came in at 2.05%. And that was American National Bank. The cover bid, the next bid, Bank of Texas, you'll notice it's actually slightly lower than the American National Bank, but once we factor in the cost of both banks' bid, the American National Bank came in slightly better after factoring in the cost. Another important factor, the American National Bank bid is callable any time at par. So starting February 15, 2016, the county can redeem those obligations at par.
Let me ask you a question about that, because I think there's some information going on about that, or questions that have been asked about that. What that simply means, after the 2016, after the first year of the bond postage, we can start paying those bonds off early if we choose to do so. Can it be in any amount, like if 1 year we decided we wanted to pay an extra $100,000, we can do that at any time after 2016, after 1 year?
Yes, sir. That's exactly right.
Without penalty?
Without penalty. And you'll just repay the principal. There's no premium or anything like that. The Bank of Texas bid did have a premium, so if the county wanted to redeem 100,000 of those obligations, you pay some type of percentage on top of that. That's not the case with American National Bank.
Okay. Yep.
With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on the bids. The first payment would be due February 15, 2016. It's a 12-year amortization. As scheduled, there would be 12 principal payments annually. But as the judge mentioned, the county would have the option to pay those off early.
When we first discussing this, or started discussing the financing of this 911 center, we had been given, I think George had given us about 3.5% or 4% interest, which was very conservative, he said at the time. To receive this kind of interest, 2.05%, did we hit the market just at the right time? Or what's your comments on that?
Yes, sir. I think now is a very good time to be borrowing money. As you're well aware, the fixed income markets are at all-time lows. Back in December, our market, the municipal bond industry, hit all-time lows, and we held that through the month of January to this point, and on into February. So a very good time to borrow money. We'll say it's not a good time to invest money if you're looking for some interest rate, but a good time to lock in that rate. That is a fixed rate for the life of the obligations.
So the interest over the full 12 years, if we do not start trying to whittle away a little early, is $505,730. And if we pay down that, if we decide we can declare some funding, additional funding to go to that, or if we get a grant or we get some sort of reimbursement from 911, that money could go towards that, which means that's less interest that we would have to pay.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Questions?
This total outstanding debt that it shows on the second page, that's our current debt, $63,488,000.
Yes, sir. That includes the road bond completed last year.
It's total county
Yes,
debt.
total county debt.
And this would put us at $67,664,000 total debt.
Yes, sir, and that includes interest. Assuming all that debt is paid to maturity and nothing is redeemed early, that's correct. Principal and interest around $67 million.
I actually went and looked that up, and the actual principal, I believe, through, since we've not issued all of the existing road debt, the net debt, not counting interest, is actually $42,794,000. That was at the end of 2013.
Yes, sir, at the end of 2013, 42,923 is what we show.
So
42,923.
the number you're showing here of 63 million, that is the total amount of interest and bond.
Yes, sir.
But the amount of debt that we currently have is about $42 million. And probably a little less than that because we make a payment.
Yes, sir, and actually, February 15th of this year, there'll be another principal payment made, so we're looking at under 40 million.
Okay.
Aggregate principal amount outstanding after February 15th of this year.
There is a document that's being circulated around that says we have $65 million of debt. That's really not an accurate statement.
No, so the way we look at debt is principal outstanding. For example, if you own a home, my mortgage is $100,000, you state principal balance, not the interest. So,
I believe Standard & Poor's from 4 years ago when I first started in this job, as you guys are aware at Southwest Securities, or First Southwest, I'm sorry, your old competitor, we were in the red $1.7 million. And at that point in time, we tried to refinance some bonds, but because we were in the red, $1.7 million, we were not able, $1.6 million, we were not able to refinance those bonds because of the shape we're in. So we've gone, I believe, from either a B plus or maybe an A minus rating to a current Standard & Poor's rating of A plus. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And Standard & Poor's has recognized the county's effort to restore fund balance and move up to that A plus level.
Okay, I wanted to make sure everybody understood that in 4 years' time, we were in the red, $1.7 million. We've now increased that to over $1.1 million. I think it's $1.4 million or something like that last time. So we're getting out of debt, and it wasn't bonded debt. It was just general operating debt. So I think that's factual information that needs to be out there.
Yes, sir. I think by the number of bids received on these obligations, it's indicative of the bank's support.
With an A plus rating, it's kind of like our individual credit ratings. The better credit rating you have, the better rates you get.
Yes, sir.
What do you see interest rates doing in the future, in the next month, or maybe not month, but 6 months, a year, 2 months? I know if everybody knew, we could make a lot of money, I guess, on that. What are your underwriters seeing on something like that?
The economists and those that we follow, I think the consensus is short-term rates will remain low throughout the summer of this year. The Fed, it all hinges on the Fed and their decisions when they decide to raise rates, but given the uncertainty around the world, and oil and some of the others, I think there's a lot of fear. We've seen a flight to quality to the treasury market. A lot of people are buying treasuries still, and that oftentimes flows into our market. So I think all of that combined have kept rates fairly low, all-time lows. So we would see that throughout this year.
Okay, other questions or comments before I let allow the audience who signed up to address this issue? I'd like to go ahead and call on now the folks that wanted to speak, and if I find the list here now. Yeah, we'll go back. The first one on the list is Judy Josie, who wanted to speak on item number 6. And actually, Judy, that's the one we're talking about. So if you'd come forward, and you certainly are welcome to address the court.
Thank you, Judge Wood. Good morning, commissioners. I come before you today to ask you to, as a concerned taxpayer, to ask you to please find another way other than selling certificates of obligation to fund the purchase for the radio equipment. This equipment was not mandated by the state of Texas, and not a single commissioner of this court voted for the purchase of this equipment in the special commissioners court meeting called only 1 week prior to the new commissioners taking office. If this is so important, then why was there not a special meeting to obtain signatures of the cities that agreed to participate last year? The previous court has obligated the county to over $3.67 million as spoken of this morning, and I ask the new commissioners to please reconsider. It is clear by the resounding vote of the no confidence of the citizens of the last commissioner's race that the citizens expect and demand fiscal responsibility of this court. I respectfully implore you to not obligate the taxpayers for yet another unmandated and unaffordable expense. If this purchase is so needed, then why have none of the cities and municipalities signed up for an interlocal agreement as they had pledged last year to serve their residents? Thank you.
May I answer that question, Judy, before you leave? The comments that I have received back from the city leaders is that there's been so much discussion and so much negative information that's been released about this purchase that they weren't for sure that they could enter into the agreement until the Commissioners Court took action to fund it. That's the bottom line.
To me, it seems like a Nancy Pelosi, let's pass the item and then find out what's in it.
No, ma'am, it's the way that we do business in the county. It's the way we have to have the program up and going. These communities, many of them we dispatch for already. In fact, most of them we dispatch for already, except Terrell and Kaufman and the city of Forney. And the leadership of those two communities, the city of Terrell, the city of Forney, have indicated to me on numerous times and to this court that they are fully supportable of this operation as soon as we get the operation up and going. And that will be what we'll be working on next.
Well, I respectfully submit to you, Judge Wood, that people can say one thing and actually follow through and do something quite different.
So are you saying that you believe the leadership of the city of Terrell and the city of Kaufman are not truthful, not being truthful?
I have found from past experiences that that is not always the case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is Larry Kozalik, also on item number 6. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you for allowing me to address the court. Although there may be a need for improved radio communications in our county, it's not mandated by the state. Because there's no mandate, then we should have time for the planning, the purchase of the equipment and funding of this expense, including obtaining the participation of the cities of which you just spoke. Now, I understand that maybe they can't do an interlocal agreement until it's been passed, but perhaps they could sign a letter of intent to sign the interlocal agreement once it is passed. Technology is increasing so rapidly that if we take the time to plan for the equipment and plan for the purchase of the equipment, we may be able to get a more advanced system that will do more and not be outdated within the 12-year period that we're paying for this. It may be obsolete by the time we get through paying for it. I would like to see a way of funding this from existing tax revenues rather than selling certificates of obligation, which, according to this resolution, will require additional ad valorem taxes. You know, as a retired person, I'm paying a lot of taxes, and I just can't keep adding on and adding on and adding on. And I respectfully ask the court to take all the retired people into consideration and find a way to fund this if it's really needed without having to increase taxes. Thank you.
May I address the issue about the retired persons as on their homestead, their taxes are frozen when you turn 65 in Kaufman County. Kaufman County is one of only around 102 counties that does provide a senior citizen exemption. So your county taxes on your homestead would be frozen. Yes.
If you own any other property, rental property, and all
That's
that,
correct.
it's not the case.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next is Rick Jackson, also on item number 6.
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
I come as a retired teacher. I understand the safety aspect of what we're trying to do, but there's always the thing of ultimate safety for every inch of the county versus what is actually usable. And again, like Mr. Rosalik said before, I'm a retired teacher. I'm not 65, so I can't get the exemption on my homestead. So my wife's a teacher, so we are strapped on taxes between county taxes keep going up and school taxes in Forney keep going up. We have a big debt in this county. And like I have to live within my means, the county needs to live within its means. That means we don't really need to add on debt, whether it's bonded debt or any other kind of debt. We don't need to add on more debt. We need to take the radio system that's absolutely just needed. We don't need to spend $3.6 million for a new intercall system. We don't need to add the $1.4 million for the warranty. We just need a radio system that will work and get us by until the time that it has been planned out, that we can afford the correct system and get all this interlocal agreements done. Interlocal agreements need to be done first. They need a letter of intent or something else to show that they're going to jump into this. I know many people say, yeah, we'll do this, but if you don't have it in writing, it's not worth paper that would be written on. I would suggest that the $300,000 radio system for the sheriff's office right now is what we're needing. And we also need to remember that Senator Hall is also working on a resolution to get the 911 money in, and we really kind of need to wait and see where that goes. So we don't have to maybe spend our money. We can use money that we've already put into the 911 system and get some of that back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service as a teacher and as your wife as well.
Thank you.
Next is John Cook, who also wishes to speak on item number 6.
Thank you, Judge Woods. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to speak. Sure. I want to follow up on what he just said. I've been concerned over the last probably 10 years about our county taxes, and I know that we've talked about that before, about our county tax rate. And it's always been about, lately it's been about the median tax rate. The median tax rate for Kaufman County is $2,275 per property. I think we just had a 2-cent tax increase too, didn't we, for this year on property taxes.
That were used to pay the road bonds.
Right, but we still had an increase.
Not quite, it was actually 1.97 cents.
55, 6 to, yes, 57 something. Okay, we have actually the 17th highest median tax rate in Texas. We are behind 16 other counties. We have nationally, if you look at the whole scheme of median tax rate, and this is based on the taxrates.org, a national organization that does tax rates. New Jersey is first with 189, New Hampshire is second with 186, Texas is third highest in the nation on property tax rate, 1.81%.
How much of that is for schools and counties?
No, property taxes, just property taxes.
No, you don't have it broken down.
No.
Yeah.
The median, here's a statement that was made by taxrates.org when they talked about Kaufman County. The median property tax in Kaufman County, Texas is $25.97 per year for a home worth a median value of $130,000. Kaufman County collects an average 2% of every property assessed market value property tax. That means in 50 years, we pay another whole percentage, whole cost for the house again. Kaufman County has one of the highest median property taxes in the United States, where we're only 17th in 254 counties. Nationally, we're 251st in 3,143 counties. The average yearly property tax paid by Kaufman County residents amounts to about 3.74% of their yearly income. Kaufman County is ranked 300th of the 3,143 counties for property taxes as a percentage of median income. You can use the Texas property tax math law. I won't go into that. But I see more taxes coming up. I see us paying more taxes. I've seen 2% now. This doesn't count the 2 cents that we've added for this year. That doesn't count that.
That's the voters' approval.
Voters' approval, right. Well, we submitted as a commissioner's court.
No argument, man, I had to interject something.
Yes, sorry.
From time to time, you have compared us with Hunt County.
Right.
Having a lower tax rate.
Well,
Hunt County
costs, it's mostly costs.
Well, you said tax rate, if I remember, several things. And
Not median tax rate, but go ahead.
Hunt County, as you and I have discussed, also levies a half-cent sales tax,
Right.
which we do not levy.
Right.
You don't have any idea how much that raises for them?
No, I don't. I also don't know how much the national taxes are compared to total taxes, because some states also have income taxes. But what I'm saying is, property taxes is one of the important parts of Texas. Paying for our roads, paying for other things.
And what I'm trying to indicate is you're not comparing apples to apples, because in the case of Hunt County, our neighbor, they raised approximately $3 million with a half-cent sales tax. On our tax rate, that's about 5 or 6 cents. So we have to be careful about it. They also, Hunt County, does not grant a senior citizen tax exemption.
Right.
We lose value because of that, because it's the right thing to do, in my opinion.
Right, but the reason I'm going to median tax rate here is because you made a statement previously last year that if you look at median tax rate in the state of Texas, we are in the middle. No, we're not in the middle. We're below 16th. We're 17th.
I may have made that statement. If I did, I'm sure I will stick by it, but I don't recall that. But my reason for talking here, and I know the time is almost up, and I'll give you extra time, is it's hard to compare county to county, state to state, because you have so many different variances. Again, Kaufman County and Hunt County, they have 100% sales tax. That's $3 million. It doesn't figure into the property tax.
Well, I understand.
They also have, they do not give a senior citizen exemption. There are about 102 counties that do that, and we're one of the ones that do give the senior citizen exemption when people turn 65. So it's kind of hard just to go through and look at that.
Can I interrupt just on that one point? There's 102 counties, but that's the ones that are paying less taxes than we are.
I have no...
Much less taxes, by the way, because some of those taxes are down in the hundreds and $200 and $300 ranges. And I've got the whole list of every county in the state of Texas right here and what they pay. And I'll be glad to let you have that.
And you show their sales tax as well as...
No, not the sales tax, just the county tax. And if you put the sales tax in a lot of these, you will see that hardly any of these go raise their taxes above what we're paying.
Okay, well, we can sit here and discuss this all day.
All day, right?
I agree.
But I just would appreciate the fact that we pay too many taxes in Kaufman County now, I think, for sure. And the debt is going up. We have a huge amount of debt that is going up to. It's going to be the biggest debt we've ever had, if I'm not mistaken, outside of possibly the jail. But I think we're still getting to the point where we have more than them too. So I'm just asking for people to look at the whole number, 2%. Every year that we have to pay. And our median income in Texas, in Kaufman County, is not what some of these other counties are. We're a lot lower in median income. So anyway, that's where I want to go with that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
It's fine, don't worry. All righty, gentlemen, you've heard the remarks from the public. What's your discussion you'd like to have? Fully. And I'll start the conversation. I'm sorry.
Does Mr. Pollard need to say something?
Tom, do you want to step up to the plate here and talk about any of this? This is the bond attorney that we use with, that have assisted us in the other bond sales the counties had over the years.
You have before you the order to issue contractual obligations. This is in the standard form that the Attorney General is accustomed to seeing for the equipment purchases, and that's all that this can be used for. It works just like your general obligation bonds that you passed earlier. You prove it, you've levied a tax. It's got the ability to pay, to start paying it after the first year, to call those. So if you get additional funds in, the state would come back and you could use that to pay down. You have probably the most favorable terms of any debt issue I've done in probably the last year and a half, just because of the flexibility this particular bank is giving you. So if there are any particular questions on the order, I'll be happy to answer.
While you're up, let me read some things. I put together something this morning after I got to work, talking about, and it's made it public, the copies of it are in the courtroom. There's several things that I wanted to point out, and Tom, if I say anything incorrect here, or John, I appreciate it if you would correct me, because these are the facts that I know it. They're not made up facts, they're actual facts, as far as my understanding of it. One, the interest rate of 2.05% for a 12-year period is an extremely competitive rate. And you just indicated it's the lowest you've seen for a project like this in the last year and a half. And the fact that it is callable after the first year of the penalty, that's pretty unusual, I understand as well.
Yes.
The total interest amount for the 12-year time of the loan is approximately $506,000. So those are correct statements. Total savings by, and you wouldn't have information on this, but John Longwell, and I know Steve Bowie and some of the fire officials that have worked on putting this together, or emergency service people. Total savings for completing phase one and phase two at the same time results in contract savings of approximately $694,000. Jack, if you would stand up, I believe I asked you for that figure.
Judge, I also have this is a copy of the best and final offer, where it states what that saving is.
Okay.
There is a $694,000 saving by doing phase one and phase two, all in one contract.
Okay, so if we just did phase one, we would not get the discount of $694,000 that is included in phase two. And phase two is primarily the information or the radio equipment for the sheriff's department, the fire marshal's office, environmental officers, the constables, as well as the volunteer fire department. So if you look at that, the actual savings we have by doing both projects together are $694,000. That is more than about $190,000 more than what the actual interest would be over the entire 12 months. Is that a correct statement?
That is correct, Judge. Just want to clarify something. There's a one-time discount of $270,000 on phase one. Then there's a discount on phase two, one time of $423 and $100. If you combine the two, there is a savings of $694,000.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that. The other item, John, I will ask you on this, the radio item number 3, the radio equipment and furniture are already in production. Is that a true statement from what you understand, Jack?
Judge, all I can say is that when you sign a contract, the wheels aren't turning. I cannot confirm exactly what's being done. I know they were stating that the furniture would be the first thing we get ordered. And I'm sure part of the radio. I can't confirm what's going on, but I know that once the contract's signed, that starts their going motion.
All right. Would result in a possible penalty, and note the word possible here, of $450,000 to $550,000 if Kaufman County is in breach of the contract. Is there someone here this morning from Harris Communications? Anyone here from Harris Communications? Steve, I asked you Friday to check with them and get a number from them on the work they've already started in this regard. And I believe you told me the person that you talked to with Harris Communications said they have already started working and have in production approximately $450,000 to $550,000 worth of equipment and material that would go towards this project.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. John, let me ask you about the breach of contract. You've studied that contract several times. If we were not to agree to fund this program, what is your opinion of being held in breach of contract?
I don't mean to be evasive, but I don't want to give away the county position.
Right. If it does go to litigation, I understand.
It does go. Certainly, I would anticipate that Harris Contractual would take this position, would argue this position, and probably any position would be based on the fact if you accept a contract and it's not subject to either the financing or some other condition, then by all appearances, it seems like there's offering acceptance of the contract. And I don't want to go on the record and say what our damages would be.
But there is a possibility of a breach of contract. Hopefully not.
I would think so.
Okay.
I would think so. I'm not saying that's reason
Understand.
to do or not to do something. I don't want to.
You don't want to give away what our defense might be. Jack?
I'd like to ask something, I'm not really prepared to give an exact number, but during the contract phase, or the bid, I should say, when we opened up the bids, the panel committee selected the best vendor by what they submitted. On Harris Communications, they failed to do a site visit. We have 3 sites we're talking about. Okay? Harris really failed to go to these sites and look at what was there. We started negotiating the best and final offer, and I had reminded Harris that they need to look at this. None of the other bids included any kind of structures at these 3 sites. I think we have 2 sites that include, that have a building, if you would, to put this air conditioning heated, put this equipment in. One site has a, equipment street like, this better than I can, but basically cabinets that are air conditioned, heated, and what have you. When we were negotiating with Harris, I advised them that the amount that we awarded, we could not increase that. And they would either live up to that or this contract would fail. And they agreed to, at their cost, to make all these improvements, which improvements that the other vendor did not include. So I'm going to throw numbers, Steve, maybe you can correct me. We're probably talking, did you estimate that they, like $200,000 they're having to spend what they not plan on spending?
Yes, sir. Somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 that they're, putting in on top of what they did. Make sure that we get the deepest possible system.
And there again, that was a mistake that Harris made, but the committee, we were very firm that we would not pay a penny more if they wanted to have this contract. They would include that, so that's probably another $200,000 that you could add to that system.
Briefly, can you explain where those 3 sites are, and have we received permission from both sides? Have that, has that been granted?
Combine,
Elmo, and the sheriff's office on top of 440 tires.
So all 3 of those, and well, obviously the sheriff's office is the county, so the Elmo Water Supply Corporation and the Combine Water Supply Corporation, they have agreed without question to allow us to have those radio antennas.
right, and we're utilizing their size in a couple of sites. We're really not ready to go. Needed more work on building, structure, and I think agreed to let us use that facility, put buildings in place. I think the board met last week, I believe it was, and we got, got all that line. So the county's spent a lot of time, that's when their side, the amount of time that we spent. A bunch of time.
Jack, is the contract with East Texas on that tower that they own at the sheriff's department, is that contract been located, and what does it state on the future use since East Texas is pulling out of the county?
I really can't answer that. I know that there's a tower that's on our side, so there has to be some kind of.
But we don't know what the agreement is and what our obligations to them or whoever they may lease or sell that tower to.
I've talked to Jeff Davis over the communication in East Texas. I confirmed to him, and he said they are probably going to keep the tower, that they would guarantee me, and I'm going to get that in writing, that if they decide to sell that, we'd be the first person they would sell it to.
So we may have to purchase the tower that sits on our own property?
Might not. I mean, at this point, you've got to remember East Texas, they're pulling back to Henderson County. They've got all their hospitals in Henderson County, and they do a lot of transfers backing down, and they've got to have radio communication going back to Dallas. So it's one of those things they're probably not going to get rid of it this time, but if they decide to get rid of more of their ambulances, they probably will. But Jeff has guaranteed me that, and I've got an outstanding relationship with Jeff since we've done the tire and everything. So I don't see anything at all where he'd back out.
That is a good question, and I've actually checked with a couple of vendors that are interested in bidding on our ambulance contract and talked to them about that exact issue. And both of them have indicated to me that if East Texas wants to get rid of the tower, they would be very interested in purchasing the tower from East Texas, just like some of them are doing on the trucks and employees.
But we don't have it in black and white. We don't have the contract. Even though we've talked to them, we don't know exactly
My fear
what it
is
says.
that they will sell it to a tower company, and then the company will want to lease it
To us.
to.
John, you
We're,
want?
yeah, we're not posted to discuss these things.
Okay,
right?
all right.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
it could be
I
an
know the
issue.
court is interested in
It
it.
could be an issue for
Yeah,
us.
I'm not,
And there is a whole contract that East Texas has that they've got to get out of with us.
I think we're saying
That's not been approved as of yet. Ronnie, do you have something?
What's the value of that tower if East Texas decided to get rid of it, and even if we have a first option to purchase, one would speculate it's going to go at fair market value. What would be the estimated value
Well,
of that, Judge?
the county district attorney just told me we shouldn't discuss this since it's not on the agenda, so we'll have to delay that to another session. Fourth and fifth items, let me quickly read those, and again, these are my comments. Gentlemen, I welcome your comments. Number 4, public safety through enhanced radio communications provides immeasurable safety benefits for all law enforcement officers and first responders in Kaufman County. Also, number 5, Kaufman County citizens are ensured or ushered a high-quality radio communication system that will be reliable and efficient in responding to emergency help when needed in a timely basis. And I also wanted to give you an update on the 2014-2015 budget. Budget revenue, as you remember this year, the sheriff and his department were successful in negotiating a new contract with the U.S. Marshals Service. And we budgeted this year, when we had our budget hearings, we only budgeted $350,000. Because we weren't for sure when those prisoners would get here, how many of them there would be, and all of that. So as of the end of January, which is 4 months, we have received, or they have been billed, $364,000. So we've already received in 4 months $14,633 more than we budgeted. So I would imagine at the end of the budget year, we probably will be receiving close to $1 million, give or take. So that's money that was not budgeted. It was not budgeted purposely because we weren't for sure how that was going to work out. Obviously, I don't know how many federal prisoners you now have, Brian.
I believe this morning count was 87.
87 federal prisoners.
And it fluctuates. I'm not.
They go up and down. Sure.
Yes, it depends if they're convicted or not, they take them sick leave, so, but it does fluctuate.
Right, and I also verified these figures with Mrs. McLeod, our auditor, and we did not budget any rollback taxes for this current year. These are taxes that are received, which is hard to budget for, because we don't know what property is going to be subject to rollback. But when I was talking to you earlier, Karen, it was in excess of $100,000. And I believe that's the information that the tax assessor collector had given us. And that's already in 4 months. And we are
That's
having,
through December. She hadn't done her January.
right, that's just through December. And we are having a lot of our property that's being converted from ag use to commercial ventures, and much more, I understand, that is coming. So these are my comments, and I'd be interested in hearing each individual's comments. Commissioner, we'll start with you.
Okay, again, my concern is, as it was in April, when we discussed renovation of the armory, about the interlocal agreements with the cities. We were promised that they were coming soon. So I voted to go ahead and do the renovation with the promise of the cities and the fire department's participation. But then when the radio system came up, I voiced my concerns again that we still had no interlocal agreements. And I think it's just important to all these fire chiefs and fire marshals here that you get with your cities and encourage them to come forward and at least sign a letter of intent. I'm all about public safety, but if we continue to say one thing and do another, I'm afraid we're going to set a very bad precedence here that and actually damage the credibility of this court. I think we need to stick with the agreements that were made and we have. Again, the radio system we have is meeting all mandates, is it not?
As far as narrowing mandates, yes.
Okay, so we're duplicating a system. Now, I understand there's a few spots in the county that it's going to improve coverage on, but these are sparsely populated areas. They're not highly populated. The other issue I have is with the 911 funds. Since 2010, the state has collected $4.305 million from y'all's cell phone bills. And they're holding that, the comptroller is holding that. Since 2010, money that has gone from that amount, that $4.3 million, back to all the PSAPs combined in Kaufman County is $451,833. So we're almost $4 million in the red as far as what the state's collected from us. I think we need, and again, Senator Hall is working on that. I don't know what they'll be able to do, but that's a huge problem to me, is we're being taxed twice for the same service. And I think we need to have a discussion with COG. I know they're promising to give us some money at the end of the biennium, if there's any left over. But I just have a hard time dealing with accepting that from the state agency. And COG, the agency that represents us, I feel like they have fell asleep at the wheel. For 5 years now, they have not been returning the money back to us. And they haven't been fighting for it, is a bigger problem. Now that it's getting to the point where some entities are concerned about, trying to update the radios, I think now they are trying to get all high center. But that issue, the issue that we're duplicating the system we already have, again, the 3 tower sites are not secured totally. I think we should table this and have a further discussion with Harris, let them know our position, get our interlocal agreement signed, or at least letters of intent from the cities, so we know what our participation is going to be, and then move forward.
So if we had the letters of intent from Terrell and Kaufman,
And all the cities that we're going to dispatch for.
we're already dispatching
I
for those
understand.
cities. But basically, you're saying that you don't believe, has the city of Kaufman told you they're not going to support this?
No, but I have seen nothing in writing.
Has the city of Terrell told you they're not going to do this?
I have an email from the mayor at one point
I do too.
that says that they were building their own facility, and they encourage us to move forward. But encouragement and a signature on the line, in my opinion, is two different things. It's not that I don't believe them.
It sounds like it.
I believe what I see in writing.
We had the assistant Terrell city manager here the other day, and you grilled him pretty extensively, and he gave every indication that they are signing or
They should have no problem signing the letter of intent.
Okay, Commissioner?
The other day, you said the other day.
Well, I don't know, a month ago, whenever it was, whenever we.
I mean, last year, in the other course, okay. I thought maybe.
Okay,
I missed
understand.
something, I want to make sure I didn't miss something. I wasn't involved in the purchase of this contract. I believe there is a little bit of statute saying something about you can't commit another court to binding effects. Now, I don't.
Wait just a second. Let me get, John, would you comment on that? The vote that the previous court took on this, is that binding on this court?
Well, for example, you may pass a budget for the 2015 calendar year starts, and everyone's bound by that budget. So, and saying.
Yeah, but they were talking about interstate statutes, contractual obligations. You can't contractually obligate another court to do the financing for what you're just passing and say, okay, it's your problem, you just figure it out.
Y'all are the same court.
I know, we're the same court, but I mean, that's what the state statute's talking about, kind of. And I'm not trying to.
No, but I want to clear that up, because I know that's an issue. Tom, could you address that issue for us?
I don't know to what extent you contracted this, but an obligation, once you entered into it, does not mean that that is no longer an obligation when the next court comes into position. You can't, there are a lot of things you can't bind a future court from doing but when you take an action at a particular point in time, just like when you did those road bonds, when you
Right.
did that, you bound every court that comes beyond.
In the court, in the legislators, I think what they meant when they were trying to intend that law was they didn't want somebody, a previous court to start passing a whole lot of things and had no financial set in place. In other words, if you come along and decide that, okay, I figured this out, we're gonna buy you a car, here's the 36-month payment, and we've signed the note, and we paid, and we're obligated, that's fine, I accept that. But all of a sudden say, oh, you figure out the finance, because we can't figure it out, or we don't have time to figure it out, let's rush and do this, and let the other guys worry about it. That's where they came into play. And I'm not trying to look for a thing to get it, I'm just talking about this.
Well, that
And,
It's the same,
wait,
it's the same thing as to this contract you were
Right.
doing earlier. To the extent that you've got a contractual obligation, you may say you can't bind, and that'll be something for a court to decide
well,
whether or not.
I'm just speaking.
The road bond was a voter passed issue, so that's completely different. The voters accepted that debt on themselves.
And my other issue, I mean, is that the way 6 is obligated, and I don't know, and I asked the judge about it earlier, and he said that it's the way we have to word it, I don't know. Leveling an annual ad valorem tax. It sounds like to me that you're making a new tax. You know, and you're asking a brand new court to say, well, let's step in the office for 5 weeks and let's vote in a brand new tax. Now, you know, it's one thing to buy a radio system. It's okay if we have a way to figure out a way to pay for it without adding a tax. I'm not so gung-ho, or every way you want to say it, on saying, let's add taxes. I'm not about adding taxes.
None of us are that I'm aware of.
Huh?
None of us are that I'm aware of.
Well, the way the statement says, it sounds like we're
That's the
adding
very
a
reason,
tax.
that's the very reason I
Now-
added numbers onto the budget update to show you how much money that we will have that can go towards this.
That, I understand. Well, I see a lot of ways. I mean, I see other ways. I mean, you know, and I'll give it to Brian and them and applaud them on the way that they've saved money in the jail, and I say, well, if you can save $411,000 in the first quarter and buy some cars, I think this is great. The next quarter, if I'll make a payment for the radio, we don't need a tax. Save that much every year. If we can just commit to saying, well, okay, we've done without these positions, we've done without this, let's cut a quarter of them out. Let's pay for the radios.
It is my intent, and I've tried to make this clear, that the total tax rate for Kaufman County will not increase next year. The makeup of that tax rate will change, as it does every year. But it is my intent, and I've got a bunch of people here listening to me as the chief budget officer, that the total tax rate will not increase. Now, the 3 parts of that tax rate, they will change. They change every year because of increased property values. But my commitment is that the total tax rate will not change this coming year from what it is this current, what we currently pay.
All I'm saying is, you read black and white.
I think we have to have a certain level of trust. And, I mean, that's, again, when I inherited this job, Steve, we were meeting 6.
I didn't say I'm not trusting you.
Well, it
I'm
appears to me
I'm
that-
saying this is what it says.
Okay, well, you've heard my statement.
I know, yeah. There's no problem.
Any other comments?
Judge Wood?
Sure.
May I say something?
Sure.
In every financing agreement that is like a CO or a bond issue, it will always say that about ad valorem tax, because that's the most revenue that the county or a city gets.
And
So
when he
that's
said
the
this,
way
and he
it's-
said it had to say it this way, and I said, well, I don't like it saying.
Well, yeah, but I've read for other cities and other counties, and it always says that in those, on those documents like that. Anytime it's a CO, a bond issue, a tax revenue note, it will say to do with ad valorem tax, okay? It's just a standard statement that they have to put in there.
That is correct. That is, it has to do with this type of obligation. Payment of the obligation does not necessarily have to come from ad valorem taxes. You can add, if you've got savings,
Well, then,
you only have to levy each year when you do your budget to the extent that you do not have other revenues to use to make the payment.
We cannot default on those payments, bottom line. But we can move money from other sources, which is the reason I put that at the bottom of that page, to help go towards paying that.
if we put this in like this, then we have to establish a sinking fund to be able to make payments from this.
But we can transfer money into
Into the
that
sinking
sinking
fund.
fund. It doesn't necessarily have to come from.
I know, and I'm just trying to clear. You don't understand, when it says it makes it difficult to follow.
I don't know, Tom, have I misstated something?
No, you haven't. That's, the language that's used in this order is what is used in every order for every county.
Well, you can add two languages.
But, again, you only have to levy to the extent you do not have those funds from other sources to apply to it. I have several clients that will issue, you never have to levy because they've got some source that they transfer in.
So what happens if we don't use it?
Beg your pardon?
What happens if we don't use it? We say we're just gonna pay for it.
Well, it wouldn't pass the attorney general.
Full tax.
Could you repeat that?
You levy the full tax for the payment if you decide you don't want to use other revenues for it.
Which is about 0.6% if we decide to do it. But it's my understanding, this is the verbiage, this is the language that the Attorney General has to have on projects like this before they would be approved.
That is correct.
John, is this the way it?
If Tom Collins says it is, then it is.
Okay, well, I'm just asking, I don't know what that's exactly, what we're supposed to be.
Same thing.
I know that's what every bond that I was involved in at the school district, it was exactly the same wording.
First, Tom writes the handbook for tax bonds. And the disclaimer is also a friend of mine. He's a good lawyer.
That's it? Okay, good. All right. Keith, Steve, you got anything? Commissioner?
And I guess it's my time to talk about this, but I'm going to preface this first by saying I'm all about safety for the citizens of Kaufman County, for all our firemen, for our policemen, and all that. The second thing I'm going to say is when we sit here and have a workshop with COG about how much money we was going to receive from them to help us with our 911 call centers, the lady said between 20 and 100,000. I said, well, tell me exactly where you think we're at. She said 20,000. Well, seeing now today, we get a little deal here that we're saving some money to the sheriff's department, which I am so proud of. Thank you, Brian, and the sheriff, and all y'all, not filling all positions and seeing that we can, we're still, I haven't heard of anybody not being protected in the county, and so I think that probably we need to table this and have us a good workshop on this, and then move forward about buying this for our citizens. The other question I've got is, we're supposed to be buying 2 bands, is that right, Jack? The 700 and 800?
Repeat that, Commissioner.
The 2 bands to work this system, we're going from this old regular system up to the 700 and 800 system?
We're going from a, yes, VHF to
Okay.
So we're still gonna keep our old system in case we need it down the line?
Well, the current console we have, my understanding, I'll let the sheriff's office speak to this. Current console we have is end of life. When y'all hear that term, go life, it's not what it is. So we're gonna spend, 1.8 or whatever, you know, I'm just gonna say we're gonna spend. We'll have to do phase one. We're gonna continue to communicate in the county. We're gonna have to at least do phase one, which that's the 1.8 million, whatever it is. Current console, too.
Well, the 700 man, we can get it pretty easy, is that not right? But the 800 man, we have to buy into that, is that not right?
700, 800, same thing.
Same thing, 700, 800.
So we don't have to buy into the 800 man.
No, it's all one thing, they all can communicate.
I was giving some misinformation, so.
City down.
Anyway, but, that's just my take on it right now, and I think let's look at, I appreciate this, whole bunch, Brian. Seeing these figures today, I'd like to see them last week.
Judge, I'd like to add a comment to that. It appears that we're talking about the fact that the product was approved and bought under one commissioner court, and now, there's a problem because the next court is won't approve it. I want to pay for it. This court doesn't want to pay a finance, or has a problem with whatever. I guess.
No, this court wants the cities to participate at the level that they promised. That's my position. I voted to fund the renovation of the armory with the promise that the cities were going to participate. It was going to lower costs for all the citizens countywide, because we were going to consolidate, reduce the number of dispatchers in the county. The sheriff's department was going to dispatch for them. So instead of each entity having duplication of the same process, it was going to streamline stuff. We were going to have a better radio system for a cheaper price. I'm all for that. That's what I'm for. Now, I want everybody to carry through with their promises. That's all I'm asking. And if that happens, I will vote for it.
Well, I understand that. So when they went out and met with Combine and Elmo, and they met with their board, and they were doing their due diligence, so now we're not going to do it when those folks have committed to it, and maybe down the road they may not commit to letting us use their sites. That's something you think about. And the other side is, quite honestly, while, and I respect the court, but the previous court, that was during the time when we went out and bid the product. We probably would have been better off if we'd had that going financed.
Or wait one more week and let this court vote
more money,
one or the other.
By the way, we paid
That
more
would have
money.
made more sense, because this court's gonna be here at least us four for 2 more years. So we could have not called a special meeting the last week of the year. We could have had this on the first court meeting of this court and discussed the contract and the financing. That's what we could have done.
I understand. What I'm trying to make is, while it took time to put off the financing, it's because we were doing our due diligence to make sure we had the right product. Okay. We could have went out there and just signed a contract.
And you did, y'all did an excellent job.
And paid a lot more money. But we chose to do our homework, which took a period of time, and now we're where we are now. Because we did our homework, but this community did their homework.
And y'all did great work. I mean, y'all were very knowledgeable and did a great job of getting the bids, compiling the information. But we could have waited 1 more week to let this court be informed and make the decision and finance it.
Or we could have accepted the financing that Harris Communications put in as a part of.
That was going to be my next point. They have a lease purchase option here.
3.something%, 3.84%. Yeah. We could have paid twice the interest on it that we're paying on this.
Or we could have continued, hopefully we can continue the savings that the sheriff department has shown very great fiscal responsibility. And that's what's going to be my suggestion, that we have a workshop with Harris, let them know where we're at, ask them if they could rework their lease purchase option and get the payments down. And in 2 quarters, we could pay the lease on this radio equipment. We wouldn't have to obligate the citizens to any more tax. If the sheriff's department thinks that they can continue what they did in the first quarter, we would have that paid for in 2 quarters and have money left over for them to purchase their vehicles on a yearly basis.
Judge, I'd like to speak on that part of it.
Yeah, we've made some savings, it's not because we didn't want to fill the positions. The problem we're having is filling these positions with candidates that we'll take. That's been our biggest problem. We've got people that's coming in, they're making the same amount as an individual that's in there for 5 years. Then after they get certified, they're gonna leave us. They're going somewhere else. They're going this way. They're not going this way. They're going this way. We got investigators that's leaving us and making $70,000 and $80,000 from us. So that's our problem filling it. We didn't want to give this much money back. I'll save when I possibly can. I think that's proven. But it is hurting us. You got to remember, I've got people that's stressed out in that jail where we've had all this. I've got tons of people we're calling in and getting a lot of comp time. And you got to remember, this comp time countywide in the department is unfunded as it is as an outside auditor. And that scares me. We have that.
We're facing the same thing in the precinct, road and bridge precinct.
How many people do you, I know, but I'm not gonna tell you, how many people do you have maxing out, get close to the max on your comp time?
I hadn't looked at it lately.
Well,
Our biggest
it's a
problem
lot,
is-
it's a
yeah,
lot.
it's a lot.
And listen, I appreciate what you've done. You know that, I've already told you that. I guess my comment was that even if we could say, okay, maybe we could structure a thing where you could save some more money, not look at trying to save all of it. I mean, because you need to fill some of the positions, there's no question about it. So that comp time rate can go down.
That's a problem.
You get, how many hours do you get? You get 480? Is that how many?
That's the max, that's the max. But
Yeah.
then by law.
And
we
then
have to
by law,
start
you have to
paying.
pay them overtime.
We have to start
Or
paying.
you have to let them take vacation. You say,
Exactly.
okay, I'm mandating a week's vacation right
And
now.
that's
so
the
you
problem,
gotta
then
get
we're
40
calling
hours of
somebody,
that
we're
off.
calling somebody in to fill that.
Yeah.
And that's a revolving door that will never catch up. We're working with HR now with our holidays. We plan people for holidays and they can't take them. So I can't not just, okay, you've lost that holiday, we can't do this to our people. So I'm working with HR to extend that holiday. That's what we're having to do out there, and, you know, it's not working.
It's gonna get to a crisis level and
It's
there's
very
no-
crisis, and
There's no question, I've been looking at that already on all your hours and your.
the stress of the individuals and the high quality of prisoners that we're holding at this point, we're gonna have somebody drop the ball on something, we're gonna get somebody hurt. That's my biggest fear, because these people are stressed out to a level that they're gonna make a mistake, because we're working so much.
Okay, let's move along, and Commissioner, you've not had a chance to have any
There's not much
questions.
left for me to say.
Now you can say something.
Well, I do like the fact that the sheriff's department bring a lot of extra revenue. I hate going into debt more than what we need to, because it will affect your tax rate. And if the tax rate doesn't move next year, the money's gonna come from somewhere to fill that hole. And I hope it ain't road and bridge, because
No, I don't intend, as the budget officer for the county, I do not intend on shifting any money out of the road and bridge fund.
I'd like to see that go up, but not.
Sure.
But the money's has to come from somewhere. And I understand that, and I think everyone here does, we're all, we can add 2 and 2. If there's some way to take some of this money, and I don't want to take any money from the employees that he's not filling, because that's another issue, there's another problem, and we're going to be facing that pretty soon. Anyway, I do like that, and I like, if we make the $1 billion a year, hopefully in 4 years, we'd have enough money to pay for this whole system.
That's the reason that I asked Tom and them and George Williford to reduce it where we could have an early payout if we chose to do so.
Yeah.
With the money, and we were waiting to see, the reason we only budgeted $350,000, or that's what I budgeted, that the commissioners approved, is to see where we would be. It's worked out beautifully, and we, of course, all things, you've got a lot of different moving pieces of the budget. But in this particular case, and also on the rollback taxes, which we didn't budget because that's kind of an unknown figure, that's the reason I did that. And so my commitment, again, to this court, to those folks that are here, our total tax rate will not go up. And I've got that, I mean, I'll swear whatever I need to do, that's my commitment to the court. Now, go ahead.
If I add something, how much we made from the jail, not,
We're talking about federal.
but federal, is how much?
Through 4 months, and he's got a bill, we sent a bill to the feds, and they generally get it back to us, I think about 125,000.
Yes.
And so when we receive that money, they normally pay it very quickly.
They're very high.
We will have received in 4 months, $364,000.
And
we
we
budgeted
made a
$350,000.
profit of what?
Well, at the end of 4 months, we're already in the plus over what we budgeted. We budgeted
Budget
350.
350,
Yeah.
so
So we're already at 14,633, and we've got 8 months to go.
Is it a possible thing to say, you know, one of the things that, you know, I know this is going on somewhere else, but that we all talk about all the time when they add something in the legislature and they say, can we do this, but we're gonna pay this, but they don't commit to it. Can we commit this money to that radio system?
Budget, we certainly can do that. And that
Can
would
we
be-
say, okay, all the money that we make from the feds go into this sinking fund? And pay, but, you know,
I think,
I had to be careful, but what I'm saying is, if we designate something to go there, I would love to see it being spent on it. Not only, I'm not talking about for paying for this radio, but afterwards, guess what we need? We need the maintenance on the radio, we need the upkeep on the radio. And that budget line item, what I'm saying is, I don't want it to go somewhere else, I want it to go to the sheriff's department. They're making it, I want it to go there. So I'd love to see it go straight back to that. In other words, we can't take this money and let's go out there and spend it on the road. As much as I would love to spend it on the road, and I know Jackie would love to spend it on the road. I'd like to see it go straight to the sheriff.
well, and again, I think it goes back to the wording on the agenda, which you're concerned about. This is the legal wording that has to be up here on the
I
agenda.
don't want more wording.
Well, I don't think we can do that, Tom.
Yes,
Is that
I
right?
think we can.
He said, can we add additional wording to this to ensure that the federal prisoner monies that we're receiving, which will be approximately $1 million, can that be added on another agenda?
Well,
That,
you really don't want to do that.
yeah, you need another item for that.
Well, that's the reason I'm asking the question, but I mean, that's what Mr. Phillips is asking.
I'm saying, I want to see a designated fund go for this. If we're gonna do something with this, I don't want to see taxpayers, I don't want people to come back to us and say, well, you're adding tax. So, if the feds are helping us pay for the radio system, you know, well, I think probably most of us can get on board with it pretty quick if we know they're gonna pay for it. Now, I know we can lose the contract, I don't know how long the contract's for.
Contract's 5 years.
5 years, well, see, that pay for the radio system.
Well, that's the reason I put this together, because I didn't realize it was going to be that big of a problem passing this thing this morning. It's showing
Well,
that we do have a
It should
revenue.
be a very interesting problem. I mean, it's not that it's difficult, it should be well discussed. And
We've
everybody
discussed it
understands.
ad nauseam, as far as I'm concerned. We've gone over this thing for
Y'all have, I
a year.
have.
Well, if you had the opportunity to.
Judge Wood,
Yes, ma'am.
the Commissioner's Court can prove an order or a transfer, anything over that $350,000 be transferred to a special fund, and I'll set that up and make the recording as it needs to be.
And we can transfer that money to the INS fund.
Right. I would recommend that you not say that that is the purpose of the fund because of federal income tax. Make that transfer.
And we can do that when?
Anytime you've got the fund set up.
So in other words, when the checks come in, she can go ahead and transfer it to that fund. It would be there. Is that right?
Well, the county treasurer.
County treasurer,
I'd
right,
set up
right.
a fund with a line item to support
We could, I mean, after the fund's set up, is there, at that time, can we come back and say, well, the only thing we really want to use this fund for is the sheriff's department or?
As long as you've got that understanding, yeah, I mean, but you don't want to say it's for the INS there, transfer the money from there to the INS and accomplish that. But do not call this fund you're setting up for the INS. That works, but if you label it INS, payment for INS fund, it's going to have some tax ramifications.
And we can come back with the wording in the future for doing that, that would ensure that happening. That would be the reason that I would suggest that we go ahead and pass this morning. But let me ask you, and Jacob, did you have anything else?
No, I just want to know about using that money for that. And like Steve said, the rest of it goes back to public safety, do whatever they need to do. That's where the money's coming from.
I'm all for that.
And they know best how to use their money.
What do you think?
I'd have to pay the jail.
You like that idea?
That's in time.
Because that's what the jail was built in the first place.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I appreciate the court considering that. We're generating that money. We can put it to public safety because, we're always needing cars, stuff like that.
Right.
I think it needs to go to major items that we truly need. And the radio system's something we truly need. And the one thing I want to comment to that, just talking about coverage, it's in minor areas. You've got to remember in Travis Ranch where we have a lot of people, that's it. And then up in April Springs is where we have major problems. Down south, and my concern about that, I don't care if it's popular now, because all it takes is one individual that needs help, that we don't help that person, then we get in trouble. So I look at each individual, if it's populated or not. But we only have one tire that's doing that, and where the 3 tires would resolve that problem. And as we said in the past, I would dedicate Lieutenant Moore, because in the contract it says 98% portable coverage, and I'm going to make sure we got 98% portable coverage. When anybody needs some help, they can get out.
Do cell phones work in those areas?
No, there's a lot of them that does not. And the problem is, I'm on the side of the road, and I'm trying to fight with the individual, I don't have the time to call dispatch.
I understand, I'm just curious about.
No, most of the time, it don't work up there. Now, it might work in Travis Ranch in some of the places, but we can't rely on cell phones to help our officers.
I'm just
So
curious about
that was my big concern.
Radios don't work, and cell phones don't work. Will this new 700 work there?
Yes, you're talking about putting a tire up here, there, and everywhere. I think we're gonna hold them that 90%. I guarantee you. I got Lieutenant Moore that, don't know how he is, I guarantee you, he's gonna stick them to it. He's gonna go grid for grid.
What's gonna be our leverage to make them hold that? What if they get it
It's in
95? Well, I know it's in the contract, but what are we gonna do, not them? If they.
No, but if they're obligated in the contract to put another side of it, so you need to. So it's back on them, kind of like we negotiated that, hey, y'all didn't go see the sites, you've got to have these buildings, and they're going to that. They're honoring their contract that we talked about.
Well, again, I commend y'all for doing your due diligence with the companies. Y'all did a great job. I think you got a good price. And again, I am all on board. If we can get the cities just a letter of commitment, I'm good to go with it. Maybe we can get that by the next commissioner board meeting.
The biggest, letter of intent, you probably can, but contracts, as you know, trying to get every attorney from every city to get together, that's our biggest battle at this moment.
Again, we've had 10 months to do this since we approved the renovation of the armory.
But they're always sending stuff back and changing stuff. And I guess the big thing is we need to let John have another copy of the things that people have put in suggesting and look at it and see if the best interest for our side also. So,
Do you anticipate it's taking another 10 months to get a letter of intent?
I don't know. I can't guarantee you. It depends how the lawyers and everybody in the whole city gets together. I know the judge and the sheriff are supposed to go together and start meeting with the cities. We're already dispatching for them.
All right, other comments from anybody? Tom, as far as the bid that we have from American National Bank, how good is that? How long is that bid good? Today. So if we did not accept that today, then we would have to go back.
You have to go back, and Eric may be able to give you a better explanation what will happen if you go back. You may not have the same bidders, and you will also have...
Eric, if you'd come forward.
The banks are going, if you come back, they're going to look at what their situation is at that particular time, and you're going to get the market rate for that day. But if you turn it down, you have to explain to the new bidders why that happened. It's kind of a legend and lore in the municipal bond issue when somebody turns down a negotiated bond issue, which this is, once private placement, those rates were competitive now. And then they may look at not wanting to bid again or not coming into this good product.
I think that was stated very well. You get into a situation where you might start chasing the market, where banks know that the first bid wasn't accepted, for them to rebid and go through credit again. I don't know if the terms would be as favorable. And then you're also subject to the market rate increases.
So the deadline to do this with these particular interest rates from American National Bank is today.
Yes, sir. In the term sheet, it stated that the Commissioners Court would meet on today to decide on who the winning bidder is, and the Commissioners Court decides not to approve, then we have to go to that situation.
Okay. All right, I'm on.
Rates, you said earlier you thought the rate was, you couldn't see it changing much between now and summer, just estimate, right? I mean, we're not trying to say we're gonna prolong this for 6 months. We're trying to work all this out amongst us, and it's a difficult thing. It might be 2 weeks from now, but I mean, that's what it is, unless we all come to an agreement right here today.
Yes, sir. Last week, we saw interest rates move 10 basis points in one day.
Yeah.
Those types of situations scare us in the bond market, that's a large movement in a single day.
That's right.
We actually took bids on this prior to that day. So I know we've had some movement since bids were taken, so.
Okay, so the bottom line is, if we tabled this today and took no action, there is no promise we would get this kind of interest rate on there. In fact, you think it might even be higher, and I know that's speculation.
Yes, sir. We just have to go back to explain each
Could
bank.
be low.
Right.
I mean,
No, you're right.
I mean, that's right. I mean, so it's like anything else,
Okay, other questions? I normally do not do this, but since there are people here, this has become such a issue. If anybody else would like to comment on item 6, I will allow that to occur now before we take the vote here.
I just consulted.
Would you give your name, please?
Jan Ship, Kaufman County
Okay,
T3.
thank you.
I just consulted a municipal attorney who told me that previous boards cannot commit future boards to contracts that were not where the financing was not addressed and voted on at that time. I was just told that.
I get it. Can I ask her a question?
Sure.
I don't want to step out of turn. This is new to me, guys, so you'll have to be patient with me. My question is, if we designate a fund, kind of like I brought up, we're making money from the jail. This won't be a tax burden to the taxpayers at all, 100%. So we're going to get some money from the fund. Would that make you feel more comfortable with it? Being able to buy radio?
At this point, the only thing I'm comfortable with is the system that we can get for $300,000.
The what?
The system we can get for $300,000.
Well, I don't think we're getting a system for $300. What we're getting is I guess everybody understands what we're actually doing. $300,000 for a console. Console you hook up base units to, so you're still back to your analog and your regular radio. Not taking up the system, I'm just explaining. And the difference is that you're into nowadays technology instead of 12-year technology. Yes.
Our country is being ripped apart by Barack Obama and all his little minions, and hard financial times are coming.
Right.
And you don't prepare for them by being in $63 million debt. That's not how it gets done. We need to be preparing. Eventually, the bottom's gonna drop out. What the Democrats and the Republicans also are doing is unsustainable. And eventually, the bottom's gonna drop out, and we need to be ready. And you don't do it by going into debt. I want people to be safe. I want people to have police and fire service. I'm all for that. But disaster's coming, and we need to be ready. We need to look at this stuff.
Okay, let me clarify, what is the $300,000 system?
I'm not aware of it.
Judge, there is no $300,000 system. To just do the console is $1.8 million. Just for the dispatch part of it.
That's in the new area, right?
Yes, sir.
If we just replace the console at the jail, that they say is end of life, what would that cost, George?
Ken, today, the Orbicon system we have, went in there over 10 years ago, they have to build the components for that.
I understand. That's what I was saying, replacing the dispatch console that's there with a console that will be compatible, which I think they all are now with the 700 narrowband.
Well, again, there's a two-phase approach. The VHF approach, the 1.7, would be the solution you're talking about, the entire project, the 3.67. That includes a later deployment of 700 megahertz. So we initially would go live, when we move into the place, that's what we will do. We'll go in with VHF.
Yeah, you're talking about all the new equipment at the Army, right?
All the backroom equipment, the tower, and the communication from that side back to the sheriff's office.
I understand it. I'm talking about replacing the consoles that are in the sheriff's department.
Stay at the sheriff's office?
Yes.
We never bid it. Did we ever bid that?
Phase one is 1.3 million, and
That's the equipment in the new side, I understand that.
that's all I'm aware of.
We never bid replacing Orbicon.
All right, thank you. Other comments or questions before we take a vote? Anybody else wish to speak before we move on? Okay, this is an important vote for this court, and I think we've heard a lot from both sides. I hope everyone is clear on the fact that the additional funds that the sheriff's office has been able to generate and that we have a contract with for the next 5 years will continue to generate funds that will be used. We can't officially do that according to where the NOM is now, but we can certainly set up a fund that can be, in the budget process, be transferred to help pay off these debt obligations that we have. So does any commissioner have another comment before we call for a vote? Kim? Jimmy?
I would just make a motion that we table this until we can possibly renegotiate the lease purchase contract with Harris and fund it through the public safety fund, if we designate one coming from the federal marshal prison system.
Okay, if we did this, and then we're, that's not a bond issue then, right?
Right, it would take a different way.
Yeah, take a different order. No, I mean, it's a total different, I mean,
Yeah.
it's totally different.
What you're doing is,
You're saying that you're gonna pay for it by lease purchase, and we're designating, and we can actually designate that money on
yeah, we've got a motion on the floor, so do we have a second for that motion? Then we'll discuss it before we vote. Do I have a second to table item, whatever it is, number 6?
5 and 6.
5 and 6. We have a motion from Commissioner Rosales. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Commissioner Phillips. Before we vote, let's make it clear that we understand what we're voting on, and I think we probably do. This would mean that the interest rate that we have from American National Bank would go away. It would also mean that we would renegotiate with Harris Communications about lease purchasing. I believe that's what you would like to see happen. Probably at a higher interest rate, I don't know that, but probably at a
It
higher
could be lower, but their interest in their lease purchase option was, I've got it right here, apparently more money.
Okay.
But if we can pay it off in a few years, with money from our federal marshal inmate money, the interest rate really would not be that relevant.
Which we could also do with the loan that we get out from the American National Bank. Tom, you wish to say
I
something?
wanted to just bring up, I've not seen the lease purchase thing that the
Various communications.
has provided, but you would enter in that under the same statute should issue those contractual obligations. And you can also,
That's a state requirement.
you would also have an issue there on whether or not that is structured where you're having to levy a tax also. It depends on the form of contract they use. So you may have the same thing with that lease purchase as you've got with this.
All right, let me recognize Commissioner Allen.
The only other kick on that would be if our numbers should fall off as a jail, or we're not generating this revenue, then we're in pickle.
Well, I don't know about the pickle, I'm just saying that it's coming from general revenue on top of that. I don't know.
Yeah, you got it.
I would just like to add that, during the best and final offer, we tried to get a better rate from Harris. They did not drop the rate, it was still just under 4%. And I'm not in the finance side, I'd have to defer to the auditor, but I know back in the day when I was trying to do what we financed it, every time you want to at least purchase a dump truck or a motor grader, they look at how much is out there. And there's so much you borrow, they want. That affects
That's true.
Commissioner Shane? Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor to table item 6, 5, and 6. All in favor, if you would raise your hand. We have 3, and then I vote no. Commissioner Allen votes no. The motion carries, so that means that we will delay action on this item. And I guess enough said. Let's move to item number 7. I'd like to get us through this remainder because we have another meeting this afternoon. Item number 7 is to discuss and consider purchasing a police pursuit vehicle and related emergency equipment for the Kaufman County Sheriff Department, proposed by board contract number 43-13. Jack, I believe you have the information on that.
Gentlemen, we have a request from the Sheriff's Office to emergency vehicles. This is on a by-board contract.
If you not talk while we're trying to conduct business up here, please.
Hey, excuse us, they can't hear.
As you're aware, I think you got a copy. This is on a by-board contract. So it's already been bid out, so to speak. And it looks like the 8 vehicles are $37,942 apiece. And I believe that the federal signal camera is $3,801.65 apiece. We're in a total of $41,743.65 per vehicle, or a grand total of $334,349.20. It meets all the statute requirements. I would make that recommendation.
Okay. Ryan, do you have anything you'd like to add to it?
No, sir, I think I provided all the information anybody would need on our fleet. You got the estimate of what we got. I've showed you how I've got the quarters. I've also showed you the bid on the Tahoe, the vehicle we recommended, and also the cameras that we are running at this time. And then you've got a copy of the whole fleet and the mileage on it.
Commissioner, y'all have any questions?
Only kind of questions I had. But you don't have a question, you answered all my questions. Most of that, I think this is a good plan. I don't even question that. But I did go over the list of the cars and the people. And I guess it seems like to me that I wish we had I'm not saying you don't have control over the cars, you know, and me and you discussed that I wish that we had a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more control, maybe a little bit more explanation on how the cars are done, and maybe a checkout procedure that works to me better, because you have an awful lot of spares and things like that. And even on the report, you have the same kind of canine officer assigned to 2 cars. I don't, you know, I'm not trying to beat you up here, I just look at them and I get confused that, you know, we have so many jail cars, and one, all assigned to the same person, plus the bus and plus the thing. I'm not sure what they're for, and they're probably for a good cause. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that, you know, I think the explanation so that I can see it, so that I understand it a little bit, and that's all. And then the spares, you know, if you had spares all listed together, or maybe in one group, you know, you've got.
Well, we try to keep our numbers together around the calls where we make sure, because you know, we've got numbers up to 300, and why we got to that aspect, I can't gauge.
You can't know.
No,
I got you.
because when I first started this as lieutenant of patrol, we had this access well, and then it got blown out to some degree, I'll admit, and then now we're getting it back under. Me and Chief Evans have worked really hard on this and trying to get this.
I know you have.
Holding it to a standard, exactly what we need, and, you know, as far as the jail.
I got some suggestions to you at this point, you know, because the number of cars we have on here and the number of personnel that we have, and I get it, you have to have fares and you have to have this. Some of you probably can't get rid of it.
We're taking a lot of people to the inmates, so we have to put, or to the hospital, or other fields, so we have to do that. Right now, we're so short-handed, everybody in transport, we're doing federal stuff, plus we're pulling people off days off to go do this federal stuff.
Yeah.
So we're tied up, plus court, you know, I'll give credit to the courts up here, the new judges and stuff we got together, and we're running a lot of inmates through here. So that takes people and that takes legal. So once you say you start moving inmates throughout the whole place and transport, it takes vehicles, and that's why we've got quite a few at the jail. And then you've got to have one in case one of them breaks down, because they're older vehicles if you'll look at them. And they have a chance to be nasty, and so we move them over.
And all, these particular ones, and I know we discussed it, you told me that, but we're putting this on regular, all these are going straight to patrol, right?
Yes.
Okay.
These are all patrol vehicles, and you'll get 8 vehicles back.
Well, I guess Jack or something.
Yeah.
Jack will.
You'll get 8 vehicles back.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Okay.
And we'll be able to retire some of these real high mileage.
Yeah,
cars.
that's what it said.
The
Guarantees in ain't
that are on patrol, these are going to patrol. We've got to get some of these older vehicles off. They're dangerous to the general public and our officers.
Yeah.
As you're aware, we started taking pictures last week, so next agenda we'll have, permission to advertise for auction.
Okay, other questions on item number 7?
I got just a couple. On patrol, you're showing 23 patrol vehicles. 17 of them are assigned, and 6 have no assignments. How many patrol units are on the street on the day, like the night shift?
If we're full, there's supposed to be 8. Is that not correct, Chief? 8. There's supposed to be 8.
8, 24 hours a day?
Yeah, when we're full, and we're not close to full. That's why you see some of these vehicles as open, because we don't have the deputy to put in.
I understand. And on the jail, you're showing 4 vehicles. I think 3 of them.
Has for the van and the bus in there.
Yeah, I'm not counting the bus or the vans, but you've got 4 in the jail, and then you've got 5 in transport and 3 in evidence. Why would we have a separate vehicle for evidence?
Why?
Yeah.
Because we individuals that process these scenes and do that have to have vehicles.
Yeah, but you've got CID You got 20 in CID to the.
But that's totally different. You're talking about two distinct divisions. You're talking about criminal investigators that go out there and investigate it, and then you got crime scene individuals that go out there and collect evidence and take pictures and do all that.
No, they're not
Under
the
the
criminal
direction.
investigators that do.
Huh?
The criminal investigators don't do the investigations.
Yeah, they do the investigation, but they don't do the crime scene.
The processing of the crime.
They got a process.
I understand, but they have to have, I mean, who are your investigators? I didn't see any names with the evidence. It just says evidence.
Do you have a regular CID van or one that has all the
Yes.
equipment and stuff?
Yes.
It's a crime scene.
Crime scene van.
Crime scene, yeah.
Yes. I don't, what number are you talking about?
The evidence vehicles, well, you got,
Okay. What
number 13,
Okay.
it just says evidence.
That's the evidence van that's got everything in it.
Ain't got all the equipment.
And it stays plugged up when it's not used for all the equipment in it to make sure that we maintain all the lights and all that stuff.
And then 126.
That's assigned to Mr. McGee, and he is the evidence that's over that unit. In processing of all the evidence, you gotta remember also, they do crime scene, but in evidence, they also got court orders to destroy all the evidence. They have to take all the evidence to the lab. So they're always busy. The tech and that one steadily running back and forth.
And then the other one is 296. That's another evidence vehicle. We have a,
That's Kim, and that's the evidence tech.
so, I guess I don't understand why, I mean, that's a Ford Explorer, is it full of evidence equipment?
She's got some evidence, here, plus she also transports stuff. That, you know, when we get stuff, we don't send them both. We have to go in different ways to process evidence. Some of them are out there at the court getting orders to destroy evidence, so we always have to keep that process going. And then we're always taking evidence, but we always got evidence coming in from dope and stuff that we have to take to the lab to get processed where we can go to court with it, to show exactly what that item is.
And then on the CID, we've got 20 vehicles listed as CID. 11 of them are assigned, and 9 are no assignments.
UC cars.
They're UC cars, and if you notice in most of them, if we put there, let me see if I can look at them, like the bait vehicle, that's a vehicle we set out,
Yeah.
and we do that. The other ones are undercover vehicles that we have to often rotate with our narcotic agencies. We just can't run the same car every time. We have to rotate them, keep them out, and always keep fresh cars moving, or they're gonna know what we're driving. We can't, and that's always, we're gonna have to keep several cars to do that.
What about how many canine units do we have?
We have 4. And then you have to have spare canine units because all the equipment in it. You gotta have the cages, the hot dog system and all that to protect that dog during the heat.
Are they on duty 24 hours a day?
Well, they're not on 24 hours a day.
I mean,
But
do we have a canine unit?
Yes.
Yes, they work day and night for 4 of them. We're always rotating them out. So
So
every time if they're not out on the street, they're trained.
Okay, so every deputy on canine has their own vehicle, and they take it home, and
Yes.
they take the dog home with them,
Yes.
I guess. Are we planning to have a 5th canine unit?
No, that's what we've got a spare for. Like I said, we have to have a spare car for them, and it's gotta have all that equipment for them.
Very good, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad to see we're down to 99 from 147 2 years
Well,
ago.
the 147 wasn't a true accurate number, that had trailers and all in it. As you remember, I stated that when I talked about that. That's when they started doing all the trailers and everything, and I also had a skid steer loader that we also gave you. It had all them numbers in there, that's why we got down to 3 meters and not trailers.
Very good, they did a great job.
I found it interesting that you have, what, 24 or 28 seizures, is that right?
Yeah, so that's a third of the vehicle in the fleet, and that's CID, and part of the evidence, people are driving seized vehicles that the taxpayers didn't pay for.
Right. All right, other questions? Item number 7.
I make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion, Commissioner Allen, do we have a second?
I say.
Commissioner Shane seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All righty. Number 8 is to discuss and consider installation of Phase 3 access control system for the Kaufman County Jail utilizing Tex-Mex 5-8407 contract. Jack?
Gentlemen, as you see here, this is phase 3 of the redoing the security of the sheriff's office for access control, what have you. We talked about it in this last 3 years, third year. And under that Tex-Mex contract, that state contract, vendor been approved. It passes the procurement test, so based on that, the fact that it's been budgeted, I would make that recommendation.
Okay, you have a recommendation from, this is our final.
I think we have one more phase, Judge.
Do we have another one? I would think
That would be the last one.
And this is to control the locking system inside the thing.
The locks and the intercom system, you know, which is mandated by the commission.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Allen, do we have a second? Mr. Shane seconds, motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, number 9, to discuss and consider advertising for bid on-site recycling of asphalt milling services. Okay?
Commissioner Rosalick requested this. This is what I understand, is an on-site milling process, I guess where they mix the scrap material with.
It's a recycling process. They take our existing crushed asphalt, the asphalt millings that we get from the state, and they mix 3% oil by weight with the millings, and they produce us a catch material that we can have for $20 a ton is their price for the screening and the oil and the process of mixing the oil. And right now, we'll have about half price patch material for what we're getting now. They have some minimum requirements. They have to have at least 1,000 tons for them to move in to one site. But if you have 1,000 tons, there's no move-in cost. It's just the cost. So I suggest we go out to bids to see if there's any more companies that do that, and maybe we can get a better price. But at the very least, we'll get us some very good material for half of what we're used to paying.
So like the wrap material we just got from the state, did we all get enough to qualify?
No, you didn't get the 350 or 60.
I mean, if we all went together.
The total, yes, but the product would have to be at one site.
One side, so you'd have to take it over to his place, get it done.
Or if you had 1,000 tons, if you hauled in 1,000 tons of crushed asphalt, they would move the machine to your site at no additional cost other than the $24 a ton. So I suggest we go out and bid and see if there's other ones.
Judge, I have a proposed closing date of March 5th at 2 p.m. in the Office of Purchasing Agent. And we'll close those bids, and I'll get with the commissioner, set up a pretty good date.
Make a motion, we go out for bids for on-site recycling asphalt.
Second.
Yeah, Commissioner Rosalick makes that motion, Commissioner Allen seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, thank you. Now, number 10 is to discuss and consider approving line item transfers. Auditor.
Anyone have any questions over the line item transfers that were emailed to you?
Sharon, I did on one. Page 5, with no animal control contract. I'm sorry, wrong page. Let's check.
Oh, on checks.
When you get there, have the question.
All right.
Line item transfers. The first page here, what is this showing revenue going against both accounts?
No, it's revenues going in and expenditures going out.
It says all other revenue, which one is going out?
we're being reimbursed insurance, and this is for them to be able to repair.
We had to pay for the insurance and everything.
Yeah.
Fix that for the same price.
Got it.
Any other questions about the line item?
I got one that I have to email you. All right? This is to do with buying vehicles, because I have to have a line item to be able to buy those vehicles. Okay? I'm suggesting $352,000 to buy vehicles to cover any incidentals. And then the difference, the savings, is $59,828. I want to put that at 409 contingency, like we had in the buffer contingency.
That's the extra money from Marshall.
No, this is from the savings.
Vehicles.
I won't work off of that, larger. But I can see at the bottom.
Which one do you want back? This one.
I don't want that to happen. Every place I've worked. You set that budget. You set that budget. For these positions. And it says it's an agenda item. You said, I would say it's in there. You have to come to the court. Once y'all adopt that budget, it's an order. The rest will follow that budget.
You get to, but anything that you don't pay it on, you get to move it to something else when we come in and approve.
It has to be an agenda item. It can't be just done any other way. Yes, sir, hold on just a second. Yeah, I probably need to put it back on the agenda, just to do the line item transfer, to clean it up.
I mean, this is delayed a couple of weeks.
Y'all working through it? But this line item transfer, we need to put it on the agenda.
Because it wasn't part of the
Sarah,
documents.
Yeah, when I went to the district attorney to ask for some assistance and some advice on this. Yeah, this is what I got back. We prepared this and talked about it before we knew. Y'all adopt the budget, it becomes an order that you would have to follow.
Do they have any?
Change any of those line items, it has to be an agenda item for full approval.
Right, and the court approves it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is there anything that's in, can they roll any? Is there anything they can't roll anything, right?
It goes back to the general.
Only, so, this is good, they get to build this, so they can buy something.
And we make.
Yes.
Well, no, that's how privilege is not.
That's what I'm doing, what I'm doing, $60,000 away where they can't use it. If you budget $352,000 for vehicles, and they spend $252,000, you need to approve for me to take $100,000 and go put it somewhere else where they don't spend it. Every department will do.
So they can't get that back? We
No.
have to get
No,
that word.
once we approve those lines, they can't get it back.
I got it.
You got me?
Got
Can
it.
we do that now? Okay. Anybody.
Anybody?
Constable comes and says, I need $100,000 to buy.
If he wants to take his payroll money that he saved, he can do the same thing. Everybody can do the same thing with their payroll line item.
We're probably going to ask you to approve it that way in the next budget, if that's okay with the budget officer.
I would say,
No, y'all can have that and everything on the next one.
his payroll.
Goes back into your contingency. Rolling ranges only departments.
But I can contingency from this year, or does it go contingency next year?
It rolls over. Isn't that right, Karen?
It stays in road bridges fund, y'all know.
We don't use them like I did short on the cones last year. Looked like we're gonna be short again this year. That money rolls over to contingency.
Well, so far, I'm just down on one.
We got one position.
One position, but I'm waiting for Rack.
Would you say you want this back?
Good luck.
No, I can,
Yeah.
I will give it a copy to Judge Wood, just like that, to include in next to the board's agenda. Because we'll need to put that as a transfer for y'all approval. But that's the way I calculated it until it was approved. Just in case.
Yeah,
Okay, we got to do line item transfers.
We're making a motion to approve the line item transfer.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the line item transfers. Second. Commissioner Phillips seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Next item is to plus discuss and consider claims paid.
Now comes the discussion.
Yeah.
All right. Your claims for payment are $1,152.60. Now, what question did you have?
About these 2- and 3-year-old court-appointed attorney bills again.
You're gonna get the same answer.
I want to see something in writing from the district judge ordering us to pay the 3-year-old court-appointed bills.
You'll need to ask the district judge.
Yeah, you can ask them to do that, I can't make them do it.
We're not.
The judge signed off on this, we got to pay.
Yes, sir, those are part of the check.
We need to get him to sign
We need him to sign off.
It's not just one judge, it's all four judges.
well, one of them is even the county, one of our old ones is even the county.
So they all have.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying bad good.
These people have court ordinances. Why can they not keep up with their case?
But if we can set a precedent on anybody else starting to feel that is legal.
My suggestion is we would have a workshop with the judges, talk about this among ourselves.
We need to.
About asking
Well,
letters and
you don't
stuff.
want something coming up 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
That's the case.
I think most of them,
$100,000 bill.
I think a lot of
I
them.
bet it'd be just something.
One attorney, I think. I think one of those was from one attorney, I think. So the majority of them. But I mean, I don't want somebody with a bill or something to be over.
For 3 years?
On your big packet that you got, on page 32, I'm voiding a check that was made out to Laura Hughes. It was done in error. Yet we're doing it a different way. It's for $175. There at the bottom. That's gonna be voided. And then on page, yes, sir. And on page 56, in signing from this morning, I found an error. Those checks had been made out for ITS, which is Innovative Transportation Service, and it should be free and new, so we have that corrected also.
Which one, 25?
Both of them.
Both of them?
Both of them are, part of your contract with John Holster and ITS, everything that's submitted to us. And he wrote an memo to Brian saying he had done it for freezing invoices, those were the 2 invoices that I think they misread and made it payable to ITS. So we corrected that this morning. And I've got the 3 reports made out. See that?
on page 16.
Yes, sir. I was fixing to say, no, we're not paying John Holster any more than what the contract is. That's what it was. No idea.
Well,
Oh, yeah, they'll get a contract expired like in June.
yes.
When I put in this, it shows it on, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Meredith. Dan Meredith.
I just, yeah, I couldn't do it.
What it is,
Meredith, mine, it'll work.
in the 86th district court, we only had one table for the defense to sit and for the prosecution to sit.
Pandemic, that's all I gotta say.
Well, we'll pay for it.
I'm with David. I don't know. I just didn't, I thought that's what
That's the table that
they did.
district, district attorney's office. Table that, it's big, it's a huge table. But one of the things that Marshal Service recommended is, especially just around low trial, we don't have 10 sitting at the same table with the prosecutor. And that's a safety issue.
That's those two tables, that's what that was for,
Yeah.
huh?
Okay, I don't know what it is, you don't have to look it up.
Okay.
I think it's good to me. You know, I thought that was what this, you know, system was for.
Hearing this, Michael, MD, on page 8, on psychiatric exam.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're all,
I don't understand.
Oh, that's the way on jail, that's not him. Oh, gosh, you had to ask me to tell him. What is the doctor's name out of jail? Sorry. Davis.
Jimmy Davis.
Yeah, Jimmy Davis.
So, I mean, who are these psychiatric exams? Is this done judicial?
You asked that
Right, these
before,
are the ones
for
that they-
people that are in adult probation, and they pay the fee. But as part of their probation, somebody has to provide a service that's required as part of their sentence. And so he gets paid for that. They do it on Saturdays, weekends.
Oh, this is a Michael Pickett.
Yeah, this is a different psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, I thought you were talking about Dr.
No,
Well, that's what we're trying to
he
make
does
this
for
happen.
us, and he does for the state. Yeah, I remember that, but this is a different psychiatric exam.
Maybe he was gone.
Judicial and law enforcement.
And I wonder,
Yeah, it's pediatric out of the
I wonder if that has
So they ordered a bag.
Well, they evaluated, all three of them different people.
We need to pay that, if that's the case, each other. Reimbursement.
I gotta let him I could have told him it was already. It didn't take much.
You don't have MDP.
It wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
It jumped up pretty good.
Well, we're paying them $100 for the leak. It was for 2 months, I think. Yeah, that's what it is.
10,000.
But they charge $100 like their hair bucket.
We had $107, we had over $100.
That's something we need to address. We've been talking about that for years. And got anywhere with it.
But all these are.
Having our own humane society.
Here's the final thing that
They have to sit there, comments and like evaluation.
Karen, is this the final?
Just hold on just a second. I'll lose my train of thought.
Is this the last thing on the?
No, we have one more.
One more thing.
That's what I've been saying.
Well, we veterinary clinic was terrible in South Virginia. We looked at maybe converting it to
Okay,
a dog
again,
shelter.
starting with page 23. County Court. That's John. Understatement of fact. It's under chapter 43.
Just a year.
Yeah, it says 65 county court law.
No, it's just AT&T. I mean, that may be.
The first one there, at 1209. That case was disposed of Just now. Who would we need to get? We need to get with Dennis about that?
You would have to get, probably get Judge Wood to schedule a workshop with all those judges. Try to get some understanding. I don't know, because when I received one of them, that's an order for you to pay, because they provided the service. And maybe the judges need a better understanding of why some of those run late. I mean, I don't know what else to do. On the attorney.
All these old attorney's fees are good.
Yeah. Oh, there's an answer.
And it could be because too, they were cleaning up some stuff.
That's from 2000 to 25. Come on, you're trying to tell me in
You need a motion.
To pay bills? Yes, sir.
Before we do that, we'll talk about training.
Yeah, and then under 422nd District Court, there's another one there from 9 to 13. Then the rest of them look like our county court at law too.
Where's that at county court, March,
And one of them didn't have a complete date there. I'm assuming it's 2011, the beginning date, or 12. But the beginning date was
It doesn't have an end date, we can't say.
2011, and so the end date was 3/1, and that would have been next year, so it would have been at least 12, but the date is not complete. That's the $400 item, the fifth from the bottom. This one right here, that's the ending date. Then the very next one, the same attorney, was ended in 12/2013. And that's one that's under that, ended 8/13. And then 9/13, then 3/14. Yeah.
I kept looking at that,
Okay, then the next page, almost the entire page. Except for my,
Yeah.
or over. And this is, county court law 2.
John Poster's going to be there. Yeah, he's going to be there. Then we'll have the recommendations on
Third one from the bottom, but 2500 to 2010.
That was gonna be crazy, I looked at that, and said, from 10 to 2,500.
Yeah, and then the one above that.
That's just not, that's not.
2012, another to 11 and 12.
You want 2010. One to 2,500, one to like someone doesn't pay it.
Well, I mean, that's what 5 years ago. And it may be something we may want to do a workshop along.
Which one?
Along with
But this never happened before first this year. I've never seen, Karen, you ever remember seeing bills from 3 or 4 year olds from?
We did have a few that worked the group like we're having now. You know, we work those as fast as we get them. Send them over and start working. And we put those dates in so we can track that report that we have to send to the state. So we have to give them those dates and how much we pay in one case.
Will the state recognize 4 year old bills?
All right, so what we're gonna do on bills, I think there's some discussion about not approving some of the ones
I make a motion, we pay the bills with the exception of the court appointed attorneys that are not from this, that are previous to this budget year.
Are you gonna stick with the one where you did prior, the exception of paying indigent defense bills date prior than September 30, 2014?
Yes.
So anything that was submitted prior, I mean, after, before the
Not anything in this budget year.
13 and
but in
10.
The prior budget year and beyond.
9/30/13.
14.
So dated prior to,
Well, disposition date prior to that. They're just now billing.
okay, so let's make this clear so it doesn't get exchanged in an email. With the exception of the indigent defense bill, with the disposition
Date prior to.
prior to September 30th, 2014.
Yes.
Okay. So motion to approve claims for payments with the exception of paying indigent defense bills with the disposition date prior to September 30th.
You can't just have them bringing bills out of thin air that are 4 years old. You expect them to pay. Once word gets around, they'll have to push it back into those.
I think that, good, great, good job for working there.
Right.
Do I have a second?
I have a second.
Got a second, and that was through September 30th, 2024.
Yeah, and there's disposition dates prior to that.
Did we get that? Disposition date? That's right.
The wording was with the exception of paying indigent defense bills with the disposition date prior to September 30, 2014.
All right, I will have a motion and a second
I'll make
to
a
approve the
motion.
bills. We have a motion, I think Commissioner Gonzalez made the motion.
I'll second.
Second motion, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Item number 13 is to adjourn the regular motion, regular motion.
I'll second.
Meeting. Commissioner Shane makes that motion, Commissioner Phillips seconds. All in favor say aye. All right, we got about an hour and a half of that, before we need to
That's upstairs.
go upstairs to the conference.
They just dolly and carry all the way.